Hey guys, this is Lovin Meets with Decisive Zone. The experts are back in studio today. We deep dove, if you will, into free zones. There are over 45 free zones in the country. We spoke about how to choose the best free zone for your business, the costs and the benefits, and everything you need to know. Please take a listen. We'd really appreciate if you subscribe to the Lovin Meets podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. And as always, enjoy the show. Guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Today's guests are Salvi and Kyle from Decisive Zone, back in studio to talk about why the UAE has become such a hotspot for businesses and entrepreneurs around the world. We're also going to deep dive into free zones in the UAE and answer any questions you might have. Welcome, guys, to the show. Thank you so much for being here on a Tuesday morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's Tuesday. It's great to have Decisive Zone back in the studio. Today, we're asking you, why are so many businesses choosing to set up in the UAE? What is unique about the UAE's ecosphere in comparison to other countries around the world?
Honestly, the fact that it is tax friendly, I would say. If you compare to the other countries, here in UAE you have zero income tax. And there are taxes. I wouldn't say that it's completely tax free. Like you have 9% corporate tax and 5% value added tax compared to other part of the world, which is like very less.
And also add to that fact that there are many global hubs here in the UAE, especially for networking events and such, that connects various entrepreneurs and investors alike that are happening almost every month in the country, which is a perfect way to find potential investors and collaborators and even partnerships to certain businesses. It gains a lot of attractions to a lot of many people to open a business here in the UAE.
Okay, so taxes and networking. So let's look a little bit more at taxes. Like, how much of a significant difference would that make to a business owner? So let's say I'm sitting in Austria and I want to start a business, but it could be anywhere in the world, and I'm choosing the UAE. Like, how much of a difference will it make in terms of taxes? Like, could we put a number on it?
See, again, if you see all the European countries, the number of tax that, like the percentage of tax that they pay is more than 40%. But here, if you compare, 9% is the corporate tax, which is like very less.
And for small businesses?
So basically, we have consultants like ourselves to carefully explain to our clients how to ensure that they get the most benefits of setting up the businesses here. So it's either only 0% or 9% corporate taxes, depending on your annual net profit. So there are various thresholds, but it's no more or less than 9%. And it's for smaller businesses, it's mostly around 0% corporate taxes only.
And how does the UAE facilitate businesses who want to connect with other markets? So, for example, they want to work with Asia, Europe, and Africa. Is there anything set in place that would make the UAE a hotspot for facilitating businesses with these countries?
If you ask me, I would say the location that UAE has placed itself, okay, the location is strategic, okay, if you see that. It connects very well with the east and the west where we are. So any trade that has to happen towards the west, from the Indian side or anything, like, because we are placed in a location like this, it becomes very convenient. So a lot of people who wants to deal into the European market, they set up a business here in UAE. I mean, the Indians, Asians, Pakistanis and everyone, I'm referring to them. So because of the location where we are located right now, it adds as a plus point, I would say.
Okay, so strategic location, tax-free pretty much, amazing opportunities for networking. I'm coming to the UAE, but now I'm looking at free zones. I have no idea what they are, and apparently they're over 40. How do we figure out that? How do you navigate a free zone? What does each one mean, and how can I learn more about them?
See, when you look at free zones, okay, there are more than 45 free zones all across UAE, okay, and majority of them are in Dubai. Yeah, and when you have to select a free zone, I would say it completely depends upon the requirements that you have for your business. So it would be like something like the activity that you choose for your business or the number of visas that you want. Because not every free zone would have the activity that you're looking for. Certain free zones are specifically for certain activities only. Like you see, the name itself explains it, like production city if you talk about media city. So there are different free zones that specialize on certain things. So depending upon your requirements, you can choose which free zone you want to go ahead with.
And to add on top of that, this is where consultants like us exist, because navigating the UAE in terms of your next business location is quite daunting, confusing, and overwhelming at the same time, with a lot of information and possibly rumors around that you can find on the internet or from hearsay. So basically, us consultants, we provide narrow description into everything. We always ask questions towards our clients or entrepreneurs to ensure that we give them the right direction, and in terms of consulting them into the right path, in terms of, to ensure their highest chances of success in the region.
I can't believe there are 45 free zones. But speaking of maybe rumors, if I want to keep full control of my company, is a free zone the only way to do that? So what are or can I go via the mainland? What is the rules regarding full ownership versus I must share it with a local Emirati?
Well, prior to 2022, if you are opting to go with the mainland jurisdiction and you're planning to go for a commercial activity or trading activity sometimes, you would have to go to the 51% and 49% split between an expatriate and a local sponsor or a local partner. But now there has been a legislative amendment during the 2022 in which you can now enjoy 100% ownership in mainland as much as free zone. But that only applies to certain activities in the mainland jurisdiction. But mostly it's 100%.
Okay, interesting. It's amazing how these rules change so regularly, and this is how we keep up to date. We asked Decisive Zone. So how does the UAE's infrastructure actually help businesses run more smoothly? Are there benefits in place in logistics or tech to help companies kind of just operate better?
See, when we look at tech also, there are so many events like Kyle said that are happening, networking events. Right now, like just I think last month we had GITEX and things like that, where global like tech giants were there representing their companies, and even they are moving to UAE. So I believe like the environment is going to become more where they can foster, support each other and collaborate together, and it would be helpful for the businesses.
Yeah, and in certain free zones, they are sometimes industry-specific free zones. Like if you would look, for example, Dubai Healthcare City, so you would know from the get-go what's the primary industry that's being set up on that area, because they have state-of-the-art infrastructures, which also provides good facilitation. And since some specific industry free zones are in place, it helps sometimes streamline the whole process and even makes much easier to get certain approvals from third-party government offices. So there are Jabza, which is Jebel Ali Free Zone, Dubai Airport Free Zone, which you would know are port-specific located free zones, which helps also in terms of the logistics and trading companies alike.
If Dubai Healthcare City Free Zone makes sense for my business operations, do I still need to operate from there directly, or can I choose to operate somewhere else in the city?
So there are free zones that offer some sort of flexibility. Some free zones allow a no objection certificate for you to have a facility outside the free zone, but that is normally that really depends on the regulations from within free zones. It's each different free zones have their own different regulations and such. So you can sometimes get a facility outside of it, but most of the time you are only allowed to get the facility from within.
And who runs the free zones? Are they all authority government-led?
Yes, they are.
So speaking of flexibility in free zones, is that the same when it comes to office space and what's available in terms of visas, or does that also depend on the free zone that you're choosing?
Again, it depends upon the free zone that you're choosing. So if you ask me, a lot of free zones in Dubai right now, they are giving flexi desk and spaces free along with the trade license. And a lot of other free zones are giving visas free. So again, it depends what activity you choose. Based on that, you will select a free zone and you get a lot of other things with that.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. I think we've got the lowdown on free zones, but I just understand that it's quite an overwhelming.
It is, yeah.
Especially for new entrepreneurs. But we know Decisive Zone and also the UAE is always there to help and guide new entrepreneurs, which leads us into asking, like, how supportive would the UAE be towards new foreign investment? So for people watching who are potentially abroad, what is the UAE doing to help foreign investment?
See, there are so many initiatives that even the government is taking. Like, if you want to set up your business, there are places where you can approach. Like, the visas are very easy to get here, okay? Not just that, if you're setting up a business, it's very easy to sponsor your family also. If you look at other countries, the paperwork and everything is going to be so hectic that you're going to spend years and years just figuring out things. But here, you just set up your business, you do your visa, like you stamp your visa within like 1 or 2 months, and within 2 to 3 months, your family also would be here. So everything gets in place in like 2 to 3 months. You talk about setting up your business, getting your bank account done, the visas, your family, everything.
But is it as easy as advertised? Like, what is the first step?
So
the internet's huge and broad. So what is the first step if I wanted to set up my business and bring my family over?
It's very easy, I would say. Even the documentation. If you want to set up a business, what do you think? What documents would you require? It would be like very hectic, right? No, it's just your passport copy that you need, a photocopy, and the name that you need for your company. That's it. With this basic document, you can initiate the process to start your company. And once the company setup is done, we can initiate with your visa process. Once the visa process is done, we start with your bank account. And then you have everything in place to run your business.
Interesting, interesting. This is why Decisivie do make things that bit easier.
It is, yeah, we do.
So if my business grows and I want to hire more people, back a little bit into free zones, which setup, free zone or mainland, would give me more flexibility? Like, are those the types of decisions I need to be thinking of early on? In terms of free zone choices?
Well, it's good to think ahead of your business plan in terms of your long-term goals as an entrepreneur. So it really depends on the scope of business that you're trying to operate. Are you a big scale business? Are you a big scale business or are you a small scale business? If it's the former, then I would recommend setting up as a mainland company, as it allows you to have more flexibilities in terms of visa quotas, and for you to have more facilitation in terms of office spaces, which will allow certain government officials to grant you more visa quotas into your business. If you're on the former, on the other hand, it's much better to do it in a free zone, because even though it's much more limited in terms of granting you visas, it's still much cost effective in order for you to do so. I mean, regardless of your option, you can always expand to another business to further extend the network of your presence in the region.
What are we talking in terms of numbers there, in terms of visas, mainland versus free zone?
Normally, it's between 6 to 7 visas for a free zone setup, but some free zones are now allowing up to 50 visas, whereas in the mainland, you're now allowed to have up to 100 visas if you have to. I mean, if you really need to, and in which you have to follow some certain Emiratization rules, which we also guide our clients to ensure that all of them are fully compliant throughout every regulations that are applicable to them.
So small businesses with a dream really need to be thinking of that in advance, you know, because over 6, 7 visas, you're probably inching towards mainland status.
Exactly.
And if I want to expand my business to all Emirates, would I have the freedom with a mainland setup in comparison to a free zone, or does that even matter?
It doesn't really matter, to be honest. You can open branches and subsidiaries all across the Emirate, as long as you have the proper documentations present that you can present to the related or respective authority in that specific jurisdiction that you're expanding to.
Everything free zone. If you have any questions for Decisivie, how can they reach out to you guys?
They can reach out to us. Our office is located in Bay Square Business Bay, and you can reach out to us on Instagram as well.
Thank you so much. Kyle and Sally from Decisivie, really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
This brings us into our next guest. We got to sit down with the conductor for Ministry of Sound, David Mahoney. They're coming to the Coca-Cola this weekend, and this is what he said about what it's like to bring a large-scale event to Dubai. Take a listen.